Hello, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about making the 8 pieces blouse today, okay, with a bit of flare at the bottom of it towards the hemline. It's trendy, it's really nice. As you can see in the thumbnail of the YouTube video, you can see the picture of how it looks. It's really beautiful. So today we're going to be teaching about how to cut it. In the next video, I'm also going to be teaching on how we're going to put the pattern on top of a fabric. So let's go ahead without any further ado. And also remember, if you've not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and press that subscription bell. Just press it. Okay, like my videos please, because when you like it, it makes the video more visible to other people. Leave comments on them also if there's anything you also want me to teach. Okay, so let's go ahead. This place here, I've already ruled it out. I put half an inch over here. This half an inch is what we're going to be using for the shoulder line. Okay, this is the shoulder line. So it's going to be a blouse that has a zip in front, so we're going to leave allowance for the zip in front, and I'm going to be taking 1.5 inches for the zip in front. Okay, I'm marking out 1.5 inches for the zip in front. Okay, also the length of the top that I'm making, okay, I'm going to use the full length of this paper, and that is about 25 inches. So we're going to mark out the zip. It's going to be a blouse that has a zip in front, so the zipper is going to be in front, and we have to leave enough allowance for it. So here we write zipper allowance. We left 1.5. So we're going to take our measurements. We're going to take the vertical measurements first. The bust point is 11, the under bust is 15, the half length is 18, and the full length of the blouse is there. We're going to take it all the way across. 11, 15, 18, and the full length. So we're going to take, let's see, we're going to rule it across. Okay, there we go. So now this is our bust line, this is our under bust, and this is our half length. Okay, and this place here we're using as our blouse length. This is going to be the blouse length. Okay, so what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be putting in our real measurements, our horizontal. Okay, we'll take our shoulder. Our shoulder is divided into two, so the half of our shoulder is going to be 8. We're going to mark out our 8 inches. Okay, after we mark out our 8 inches, we're also going to be marking out our shoulder line. Sorry, this is our shoulder line here. We're going to be marking out our upper bust line, okay, or we call it the armhole line. And how do we get it? Some people will just say you mark up 2 inches from your bust line. Most of the time it works like that, but it's always good to calculate. When you calculate, you take the bust measurement, the round bust measurement, okay, the round bust measurement, you divide it by 6 and add 1.5 to it. For this particular measurement, that is what I have done, and I have measured out 8.5 because that is the measurement that we're using. I will measure it right on the shoulder line all the way down, but if you measure it also, you see it gives you about 2 inches from the bust line. But to be accurate, it's good to use that measurement. That is the round bust measurement, the round of bust line measurement, okay, divided by 6, and add 1.5 to it. That gives you the armhole, where the armhole is going to be, the armhole line. After that, you now take your bust measurement divided by 4. This particular one measurement is 42 divided by 4, and that is 10.5, and we measure it right on that line here. Okay, and this gives us our line. What we also do is that we come here, we're trying to get out our shoulder slope now, so we take this and divide by 2 to be able to get out the shoulder point, the armhole point. We divide it by 2. We come here, okay, and at this point here, because of the length, the width, the round measurement of the bust, is from 40 inches, so we just come in by half an inch here, and this is the bust measurement here, and we now connect. How do we connect? We connect using our straight ruler here. Okay, and we connect this bottom part by using our curved ruler. We place it here. If you don't have a curved ruler, you can do it freehand. You can also draw another line because this is for the back. Okay, this first one that we drew, that we came in by half an inch, is the one that we use for the front measurement, but this one for the front cutting, for the front pattern, but this one we use it for the back pattern. You don't need to come in. I just want to show us the difference between those lines. Okay, so what else do we do here now? We come to our blouse length, our bust length. Our bust is 42 inches, and when you divide 42 into 4, okay, it gives us 10.5. so we come here now and we measure out our 10.5. okay, our under bust is 35 inches. We divide our 35 by 4, and that gives us 8.75. and we measure here, put our mark here. We come to our half length. Our half length for this particular one is 37. We divide it by 4, and that gives us 9.75. okay, so now we join, and our waist, our hip, our blouse length, we use the hip length, and the hip measurement is 45, and we divide it by 4, and that gives us 11.5. so now we're going to join all the measurements. Okay, we're going to join all the measurements together, all the ones that we have marked. Over here you can use a curved ruler. Okay, down here you can use a curved ruler for it. Okay, so now we want to get our princess dart from here. To get our princess dart, the first thing we're going to do, we've left our zipper allowance. We're also going to be taking our nipple to nipple point and marking out our nipple to nipple. We normally, for this particular measurement, for this particular bust size, the nipple to nipple is 8 inches. We divide it into 2 because remember this front part is divided into 2. 8 inches divided into 2, that's 4. You add another half an inch for sewing allowance. So we measure our 4.5 all the way down. We mark it all the way down. We want to make our princess dart now. We mark it all the way, okay, down. Then we come to our bust point here. On our bust point here, we'll measure up 3/4 inch and measure down 3/4 inch. You can do half inch if you want, but I do 3/4 of an inch upwards and 3/4 of an inch downwards. Okay, I just have those marks there. Then we draw out our bust point, our bust line, sorry, our nipple to nipple line. This is our nipple to nipple line. Draw it all the way to the top here. Then on this place, on this line, on this our armhole, okay, this our armhole line, we come here and we measure what we have there. Okay, we measure what we have there, and we have 12 inches here. You can see it from here. You can see it from here. Okay, you just put it on that line there. Okay, can you see? Okay. Okay, we have 12 inches there. So we divide our 12 inches into 2. We divide this 12 inches into 2 and we have 6. Okay, we come here, we have 6 and we mark it there at 6. So at this 6 now, we connect this way here. At this 6 inches here, we're going to connect to our bust line here. Okay, we're going to connect, and as we do that, we connect there. We also try to put a dart at our shoulders. You can use half an inch. Okay, you can use half an inch, or you can use more than half an inch. I use half an inch. It depends on how wide the person's shoulder is. Okay, the space here, I use half an inch, and those 2 points also, we connect them. Okay, this is to get our shoulder darts. Okay, so at the under bust here, we're going to be taking out our dart there. And how do we take out our dart? You can use 2 inches, you can use 2.5 inches. I'm going to be using 2.5 inches for this bust point, for this bust measurement. Okay, and I measure it all the way down. As I measured it all the way down, I take my ruler from the under bust here. Okay, and I do what? I connect. After connecting, I'm now going to join from this place, from this my bust point that taking 3/4 inch lower than the bust line. I'm going to connect it with my curved ruler. I connect it with my curved ruler here. After connecting that, as you can see, the bust is already forming. After connecting it, I now connect from here, from my bust line here to this dart here. Okay, using my ruler, and there we go. There we go. Okay, so we're now going to put back in all our measurements. You know, we've already measured it to be here, so we're now going to put back all our measurements and sewing allowance. This place now, from this place now, we had 2.5 inches. Okay, we had 2.5 inches, so we're going to put back our 2.5 inches plus sewing allowance. This place too, also we had 2.5 inches, so we're going to put it back with our sewing 2 inches rather. This is 2 inches that we had here. We're going to put it back with our sewing allowance. Also, this place here, pardon me, is 2 inches. We're going to replace it back with our sewing, cutting and sewing allowance. We're going to be doing 2 inches for that too. So 2 inches. Okay, then our cutting and sewing allowance 2 inches. We replace this one 2 inches plus our cutting and sewing allowance 2 inches. This place we didn't leave any dart, so we just have our cutting and sewing allowance 2 inches. We come here also 2 inches. We had our 2 inches here, that's that we're cutting out. Okay, 2 inches. Then we put our cutting and sewing allowance 2 inches. Okay, so we connect all the dots together. So now we're going to connect at this bottom part. Now we use our curved ruler just like we did. Okay, and for this part now we use our straight ruler. Okay, so over here we're going to extend our dart here. If we don't extend it, by the time we join these 2 pieces, okay, it's going to be a bit short, so we're going to extend it by 1 inch. Okay, we extend it here by 1 inch. Okay, then when we come here also we extend it by 1 inch. We add back our dart there, and when we add back our dart, and we extend it by 1 inch. So we bring back our 1 inch to this place that we have marked here. Okay, so this is, if you notice, I had to turn this paper upside down so that we'll be able to get the measurements. Okay, so you'll be able to see how I'm placing the measurements at this side of our pattern paper. So just to reiterate what we're going to do, we're going to be putting in our 2 inches from that we took from here, our 2 inches for this dart. We're going to put it in. We're also going to be putting in back in our sewing allowance. So this is the 2 inches that's here. I'm putting back the 2 inches here, then 2 inches sewing allowance. That makes it 4 inches right here. For this place too, I'm putting in 2 inches and 2 inches sewing allowance. That's 4 inches. For this place, we didn't take any allowance from this one, but for this particular place here, I told you we extended this dart by 1 inch, so we have to replace the 1 inch here, and that is right here. Okay, now we're going to come to the bottom of our blouse. Okay, we also have 2 inches here, so we're going to be putting our 4 inches here, but we also want to put our cut. Okay, we also want to make sure that it has a lovely cut, okay, a flare at the bottom. So we'll be using 2.5 inches for that. At this 2.5 inches, we're now going to use, first we'll join all our curves, we'll join all our measurements for where we're going to cut out. Okay, then for this one, we're going to be joining our curve from the waistline here. Okay, from the half length, the waistline, and we're going to be joining it to, we're going to use a straight ruler to join it to, because this is going to be the flare at the bottom. Okay, but when we get here also, we'll come to the front part here. The front part here also, we're going to be joining, taking 2.5 inches. Okay, we want 2.5 inches also in front for a lovely flare at the bottom. So we'll take our 2.5 inches. Then on this half length also, this center front, we're also going to be taking 2.5 inches there. So we'll just draw our lines and connect them to the half length. Okay, we'll draw a line. We'll draw this one that's coming from the center front. We'll draw it. Then we'll also draw this one coming from the center. This one is for the side front. So I don't want my flare to be straight like this. I want to give it a bit of flare to it. So what I'm going to give a Gatsby cut. I'll come up this way, okay, with 1 inch. I'll come up on this part, this one too, also this other flare here by 1 inch, and by doing so, I'll measure the midpoint of this. This is 14 of this line down here, and this is the midpoint here, 7. So I'm going to connect from here to here with a flare. I just want to give it a Gatsby cut. Okay, then I'll also connect from here to here. Okay, I just went up by 1 inch. So now I'm going to cut it out. Okay, before cutting out, I'm also going to do the neckline. Okay, the neckline here, so now we're going to mark out our neck measurement. We're going to mark out our neck measurement, and we're going to be doing 4 by 4. Okay, we're going to be doing 4 inches wide, 4 inches depth. Okay, and from these 4 inches we're going to be connecting, come down, so we'll come to our shoulder and come down by 1 inch. Okay, we're going to be connecting this because our shoulder, this is for our shoulder slant. You know, our shoulders are not, they are not straight, so we're going to take our slant like this. Then we'll connect with our curved ruler. You can use your free hand if you want to. Connect with our curved ruler, our 4 by 4 for the neckline. But when you come to the shoulder, please always put this in cognizance. You always have to leave half inch for joining, okay, for sewing. So we're going to measure up our half inch. Okay, we're going to measure up our half inch, and that's what we're going to cut on. Okay, cut on this. And we'll connect good. Okay, so far so good. We're going to cut out, I'm going to cut out the front pattern. I'm going to cut out the front. This is the center front, and this is the side front. So let me cut it out and you'll see. We'll start from here. Our Gatsby cut. Okay. Just cut this out of the way. Then we take this one, we cut on the lower dots. Okay. Cut here. Then you can see we're going to encroach into the center front part, but don't worry, I'll show you how to get that back. Okay, so this is our side front. Okay, let's put that aside. So now let's cut out this one. Cut out our sewing joining and sewing allowance there. We cut out the shoulder dots. Okay. When you are transferring all this pattern onto the fabric, because all these notches are very, very important. So now what we're going to do now, because you can see this, when we're cutting the side front, okay, we encroached onto the center front, okay, pattern. So now we're going to join. I'm going to take fabric and join this part so that we could get it back. Okay, so I've joined a bit more of pattern paper to the center front pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to complete up what has been cut off. So let me just give it back the straight line, okay, for the blouse length. Then I'm going to take the 4.5 for the bust span. I'll draw it back. Then I'll take our 2.5. We use 2.5 for the flare of the bottom, and we joined it to the half length. So we'll just go ahead and join it back. Okay, and there we go. That's the 2.5 for the flare. Then also we're going to give it a Gatsby cut. We'll come up by 1 inch, just like I said earlier. We take the bottom of this, which is 7.25, divide it into 3.75. That's the mid length, the midpoint of that line, and join. Well, I'm going to join this part to this part. Okay, there we go. So now we can finish cutting up the center front of our pattern. Remember that this flare is going to be joined to the half length or the waist, as some other people call it. Then we can finish cutting up our pattern, and we are good to go. Okay, so here we go. This is the front pattern, the center front. This is the center front, okay, with the zipper allowance, and this is the side front right here. So we place this on our pattern. We already have enough allowances on it, okay, so just place it on our pattern paper and we're good to go. So let's go to the back pattern now. Let's start off the back pattern. So just like I did the front pattern, okay, just like we did with the front pattern, we're going to be having half an inch, okay, at the top of this, which will stand as our shoulder line. Okay, it's going to stand as our shoulder line. So we just mark it all across. We mark it all across and we draw our line. Okay, after that we take our horizontal measurement, and the measurements we're going to be using, let me use this red marker now. The measurements we're going to be, we need our bust measurement and our bust line. There's not going to be any zipper, so we don't need this side. There's not going to be any zipper here. So what we need is our bust point, our bust line, that's at 11. Then we also need our waist, which is at 18. Then we also need the length of the top, which we left at 23. Okay, so we go ahead and take, let me mark another one, 11, 18 and 23. So we just draw our straight lines. We draw our straight lines. There's no zip at the back. Okay, good. So after we've gotten that one, now we now go back to our shoulder point. Remember how we marked out our shoulder point? Our shoulder point is 8, that's 16. Okay, and our chest line is the same thing we used in front, which is 8.5. We got 8.5 by dividing our bust by 6 and adding 1.5, the bust measurement by 6 and adding 1.5. For this one we're going to be needing the full length all the way down, okay, and all the way this way. We'll come down and draw the shoulder. It's the shoulder line. So here is the chest line, this is the bust line, this is the waist line, and this is the blouse length. Okay, so now we're going to be dividing to be able to get our shoulder curve, armhole curve. We're going to be dividing this by 2. This is 8.5, so this is going to be 4.75. Okay, 4.75 here. Then we're going to join our bust. We're going to put in our horizontal measurement. On our chest line, we're going to be putting our bust measurement divided by 4, and our bust measurement divided by 4 is 10.5. okay, we need this to be able to draw the curve for the shoulder. So we come here. As I said, we don't do it the same way we did the back. It's not the same way the back was done, and just there. Okay, on the bust line also we have 10.5 as the measurement. On the waist we have 9.25. 9.25, that's 9 1/4 on the waist. And on the hip line, which is the blouse length, we have 11.5, which was what we used for the front. So now we can go ahead and join all the measurements before we put in our shoulder depth. Okay, for the shoulder, for the neckline, we're going to be using a width of 4 inches like the front, but the depth is just going to be 1.5, okay, because it's for the back and we don't want it as deep as the front. And we just come along here, we just come here and we join. Okay, we come here and we join. I hope we're able to see that joining. Okay, 1.5, and this is 4 inches. Okay, so on our bust line here, we take our bust span that we have been using, 4.5. We mark it all the way down, 4.5, and we mark it on this part, on the blouse length too, the waist of it, we mark 4.5. Okay, and we take a ruler and rule it all the way down, just like we did in the front. Okay, but on the waistline right here, because we want to make our dart here on the waistline, we take 3/4 of an inch on both sides of the waistline, on this 4.5, both sides, on the two sides of them, on the waistline, on this bust, on this nipple to nipple line that we have taken. We take 3/4 on the waist, on the waistline. We take 3/4 an inch on the right side, take 3/4 of an inch on the left side. Okay, from the bust line now we come down by 1 inch and we mark it here. From the blouse line we come up by 2 inches and mark it here. I hope we can see. So now we join all the points together. That's going to give us a dart. We join all our points together to give us a dart for the back. Good. So we come to our chest line here, just the same way that we connected. Now we want to connect our chest line, okay, to our shoulder point the same way we did it in front, so that we could get a princess dart. And it's almost the same way it applies. Okay, we come here and we measure what we have. We have 9. We divide it by, we have 10. So we have 5 here. So we come here and mark our 5 and we join. We'll come up on this bust line, okay, by 1 inch also. Okay, then we connect. We connect, and basically that is all that we have to do for the back. So when we're going to, because this back is cut in one side, this is the center back and this is the side back. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to put back our darts that we have taken here, put them back into our measurement, put our cutting and sewing measurement allowance, and also we're going to be putting the same flare that we put in front. We also want to put it at the back so that it will have a neat look, a better look. So now on this bust line now we didn't put any darts there. Okay, so we're just going to come back and put our 2 inches sewing, cutting and sewing allowance. It ends there. For this one, for this waistline, we had 1.5 inches. We add our 1.5 inches back, then we also add our 2 inches, 1.5, and that gives us 3.5. Let me extend this line. So that gives us 3.5 inches, which is here. Okay, this bust line is here. Then on the bottom, on the blouse line, so I'm going to input now my 2.5 at the blouse, 2 inches for sewing, cutting and sewing allowance. Okay, the 2 inches for cutting and sewing allowance at the blouse length, then 2.5 for my shape, for my flare shape that I want to put at the bottom of this. Let me count. Okay, so I'm going to be joining it to the waistline, and I can use a curved ruler. I hope you can all see this. I'll use a curved ruler. I'll use the curved ruler to do this now. Okay, I'll use the curved ruler. Okay, and I use the curved ruler to join. Then also I'll come to this side. Okay, then I'll join up all these points. Okay, then I'll come to my waistline here, to the front part here. I want to get the flared shape like I did in front. So the same way we did in front, I'll take my 2.5 here and I'll be joining it, okay, to this dart here, okay, not on this place here, but to the dart here. Okay, so I've joined it like that. Now I'm going to do the same thing I did in front to give it a Gatsby cut. I'll come up by 1 inch here, I come up by 1 inch here, and I come up by 1 inch here. I take the measurements between these 2 points. I get the half length. This is 13 and that's 6.5. This 6.5 here. So I connect the 2 lines. I hope you are following me. It's very easy to do. You can watch the video again and again as many times as you want to. So I connect it. I connect, and for this part too, I connect. Okay, so there we go. So I'm gonna cut out the front part. Okay, then let's not forget our shoulder slope. Our shoulder slope for the front, this comes down by 1 inch here. Then we draw our line so that we can take our shoulder, so that we can take our sewing allowance, okay, our joining allowance on top. We come up, measure ½ inch that we're going to use to join on top. This is very, very important when you're cutting. Okay, there we go. So now we can cut out. This is our center back, and this is our side back. Okay, so let us cut it out and I will show you. As you can see, we have encroached. As you can see from this particular one, again we have encroached into the center back the same way we did by putting pattern paper to be able to get it back. Don't worry, we're going to do it also, but let's just cut out this part. Let's just cut out this part now. Okay, so here we go. This is our side back. So now I'm going to get pattern paper and add up to this particular side here, so I'll be able to finish up with the cutting of the center back. So I added pattern paper to this. If you can see, I've joined a little bit more pattern paper. I'll come back and draw our blouse length line. Let me extend it. Okay, I'm going to extend it some more. After extending it, I'm also going to take our 4.5 bust nipple to nipple point. I'm going to extend the line. Okay, continue it from where we had stopped. Okay, then I'm going to come, now I'm going to join. Now I want to get this point here, I want to get my flare, okay, the A shape, the flare at the bottom of it. So what do? I come here now and I come here to this part, to the end of this dart here, and put my 2.5, okay, my 2.5 inches there. I'm going to be joining from this part here, which is the waist, okay, which is the waistline. I'm going to be joining from the beginning of the dart here, not on this part here, but the beginning of the dart here, and I'm going to be joining them. I can use my straight ruler, I can use my curved ruler, anyone, but since I've been using the curved ruler for the back, let's continue using the curved ruler. Can we all see that? So now we join. What do? We come up by 1 inch, okay, I come up by 1 inch. I get the midpoint of this place. This is 7.5 and that's 3.5, and I join. Okay, so now I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to cut out my center back. Please watch carefully while I'm cutting this out. So there we go. Okay, let me cut the bottom here. Okay, so here we go with our pattern for the front, and this is our pattern for the back. Okay, this is our center back and this is our center front. I also want you to notice something, that at this center back we did not put a flare on the other side like how we did for the front, because this is going to be where the back is. I don't want it to protrude too much, so I'm not going to use that there. So this is it for the back pictures. I hope you can see them very well. This is the center back, and this is the front part. This is the front part. And this is the front part. I hope we're getting to see this. Okay, so if you've enjoyed these tutorials, please just subscribe to my channel, like my videos, drop your comments. If you like this video, this tutorial, we'll appreciate you if you drop your comments. Okay, I will appreciate you if you like our videos. I appreciate you if you share them. Thank you so much for stopping by. Take care.